saying that Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom have split up. Now, it's certainly not a surprise in one sense. We've been hearing rumblings now for a long while.
What actually happened between Katy and Orlando?
Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom broke up after nearly a decade together, and the buzz is everywhere. People blame the space trip, her flop album, and a couple awkward Instagram posts, but the truth runs deeper than that, leaving Katy spiraling into one of the worst years of her career, and Orlando quietly distancing himself from the public eye. From the Blue Origin stunt to petty fights, desperate attempts for the spotlight, and shattered trust, this isn't just a breakup, it's a prime example of how fame, pressure, and pride can destroy even the most glamorous relationships. It all started like a classic Hollywood relationship. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom met at a Golden Globes after-party in 2016, reportedly bonding over a shared love of In-N-Out burgers and quirky humor. Their chemistry was instant. Within weeks, they were inseparable, jetting across continents together, attending galas, and sharing just enough PDA to keep fans hooked. By 2019, Orlando proposed to Katy on Valentine's Day with a flower-shaped diamond ring, and in 2020, they welcomed their daughter, Daisy Dove.
Perry and Bloom met in 2016, brief breakup in 2017, reconciled by 2018, got engaged in 2019, welcomed their daughter in 2020.
On the outside, it looked like they had it all, a family, fame, and a perfect love story. But the cracks don't always show at first. Friends close to the couple said their dynamic was always more fragile than it appeared. Katy, known for her large persona and high ambition, often clashed with Orlando's calm and earthy energy. He craved simplicity, calm routines, and a quiet family life. Katy was chasing reinvention, artistic validation, and the next big headline. In the early years, those differences felt like a nice balance. But over time, they formed tension between them. Behind the scenes, sources say Orlando grew frustrated with Katy's non-stop career hyper-focus, especially when their private lives became content for online clout.
He wants her to be happy and he wants her to be authentic. He just wants her to stop and enjoy the life that she has built. So he's very private. There's not a lot of stuff about Orlando, but he did step up when she needed him. He's all over the press, holding hands in the announcements and being there to make out at the MTV show and as she did her show, which I'll give her credit. That was a pretty good montage of her past work.
While Katy pushed forward with tours, Vegas residencies, and bold reinventions, Orlando often played the supportive partner role in silence. He showed up when needed, smiled for the cameras, and then retreated back to his world of quiet retreats, extreme sports, and indie film sets. But that silence wasn't from indifference. It was discomfort, because deep down he knew that their worlds were starting to drift. In 2024, Katy Perry boarded a Blue Origin rocket and launched into space for an 11-minute suborbital flight. What was meant to be a triumphant and history-making stunt quickly turned into a cultural joke. The internet exploded with users mocking her trip, critics calling it tone-deaf, and fans questioning what she was even trying to prove.
It imploded after singer made embarrassing journey into space.
It wasn't just bad press. It was humiliation, but the real damage wasn't just online. It hit home worse. Orlando Bloom, who had quietly supported Katy through her years of reinvention, reportedly lost his patience. During a heated argument after the launch, he allegedly called the trip embarrassing, cringe-worthy, and ridiculous, words that hit Katy right in the heart.
Apparently, she received little to no support from Bloom, who blasted the embarrassing debacle during an explosive row. Source close to Perry's camp told a Daily Mail. He said it was cringeworthy, embarrassing. This was in the middle of a fight. Imagine going to space, mother effing space, and your partner isn't impressed. She hoped he'd be more supportive. So that's why she did it? She went to space to try to get Orlando more interested in her again?
She didn't just want applause from the world, she wanted support from the one person who had stood beside her for nearly a decade. Instead, she got silence. And something in her cracked. Insiders say she had hoped this grand gesture would rekindle the spark between them, remind Orlando of who she was, bold, fearless, and unforgettable. But instead of pulling them together, it pushed them further apart. Orlando viewed it as a desperate cry for attention, while Katy saw it as bravery. But neither of them were together. Wrong. And that was the problem. The space trip became a symbol of everything that was forming between them. Miscommunication, unmet expectations, and two people living in completely different realities. 143, Katy Perry's long-anticipated comeback album, was supposed to be a reminder that she was still a bold pop royal in Hollywood. But instead of reclaiming her title, 143 fell flat. Critics didn't hold back. Words like uninspired, disjointed, and out of touch filled headlines. Fans who once sang along to every hit barely gave it a second listen. The album didn't just underperform, it flopped. Orlando had reportedly warned her. According to multiple sources close to the couple, he had serious issues regarding the project, from the rollout strategy to the creative direction. He felt it lacked authenticity and would only bring more backlash.
He advised her against this album. She did it.
Katy disagreed. She poured everything into 143 in hopes that it would silence the noise and prove she still had the spark. But when the numbers came in, it was like watching her identity crumble. Katy now had to face a mound of new criticism from both the media and the industry. The pop star who once dominated charts was now being mocked for trying too hard. It wasn't just about the music anymore, it was about relevance. And Katy was losing. Orlando's response was reportedly held back, but clearly frustrated. Seeing Katy refuse to listen, then watching her break down over what he tried to help, her avoid chipped away at his patience.
Orlando has had enough, says a second source, saying that Bloom is annoyed that Perry was never listening to his advice.
As if the failure of 143 wasn't enough, Katy Perry made a creative decision that only made matters worse. She brought back Dr. Luke to work with her on her record, the same producer accused by Kesha of manipulation and misconduct.
Now, again, this album had a lot of problems, specifically the Dr. Luke of it all, the producer who was having so much accusations himself and with Kesha and everything else, and which Kesha says Katy knew, and then Katy basically was like, I don't care, I'm working with Dr. Luke again.
It was a move that baffled fans and lit a storm across the music world. Katy had worked with Dr. Luke in the past, during the height of her career, and some speculated that she believed rekindling that partnership might bring the same magic. But times had changed. Public opinion had shifted dramatically since the Kesha case exploded into headlines, and by aligning herself with him, Katy was making a statement. And to many, that statement felt like betrayal. Social media lit up with accusations that she was complicit, tone-deaf, and opportunistic. Critics asked how a woman who built her image on empowerment could willingly work with someone at the center of such damaging allegations. And for Orlando Bloom, it was reportedly the moment he started checking out for good. Insiders say he had pleaded with Katy to reconsider, but she believed she knew what was best for her career. What Orlando saw as self-sabotage, Katy framed as loyalty to her creative process. But in reality, it became the final straw for many. The backlash wasn't subtle. Katy was no longer just a pop star with a flop album. She was now a symbol of everything wrong with celebrity privilege. But Katy Perry didn't retreat. She launched a wave of bizarre publicity stunts that left fans lost and Orlando reportedly rolling his eyes. One of the first stunts was the infamous treadmill video of Katy and Orlando jogging side by side, then him slowly taking off his shirt while she beamed at the camera. It was supposed to be cheeky and romantic. Instead, it came off as awkwardly staged and forced, and fans didn't buy it.
And then she started posting the rare Instagram of her shirtless fiance, right as her first single, Woman's World, one of the worst songs I've heard ever. Such a hypocritical, dumb song.
Insiders claimed Orlando was furious that the footage was used to promote her single alongside his own discomfort, and it didn't stop there. Katy gave interviews oversharing intimate details of their private life, jokes about their love language, bedroom talk, and moments that should have belonged to just them. The internet cringed, and Orlando, known for being notoriously private, was reportedly horrified. He had once admired Katy's boldness and her willingness to speak her truth. But now, it felt like she was using their relationship for views. The tension bled into every public appearance between them. Even fans noticed the change, commenting that the once genuine couple now looked forced. Sources close to the couple claimed Orlando felt used.
Was constantly trying to warn her. And not only that about her bad moves, but also how she was using him, Orlando, to try to make this album a hit, which it never was. I'd never really seen them together. And then as she's promoting this album, he was everywhere. She was using him, bringing out Orlando Bloom, Legolas himself, and Jack Turner, Pirate of the Caribbean, to use this. Katy is seeing that she may not be able to recover from all this, and she's blaming everyone but herself.
But for Katy, the stunts were a last-ditch effort to remind the world she was still relevant. But the moment that really split this couple up was the Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez wedding. On paper, it was just another luxury celebrity event. But in reality, it exposed just how broken Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom had become.
The couple's now sparring over who will attend the wedding of Jeff and Lauren.
Katy was noticeably absent, officially blamed on the fact that she was on tour in Australia.
She will be on tour in Australia, which she announced months before the date was announced.
But insiders say the truth was that she didn't skip the event because of scheduling. She skipped it because Orlando went without her.
And they also go on to say that he's now heading off to Venice, going to the Jeff Bezos Lauren Sanchez wedding. And that is going to be his debut as a single man.
To Katy, the Bezos circle was the same people who okayed her Blue Origin space trip, the same trip Orlando had privately mocked. So when he showed up to their wedding solo, smiling for cameras and mingling with the very people who fueled the PR disaster, it felt like betrayal. She reportedly saw it as proof that he no longer cared about her and was choosing Hollywood. Clout over loyalty, and Katy was already drowning in public criticism herself. The Bezos wedding was supposed to be a united front between them. Instead, it became a symbol of how far they really had become. Orlando looked relaxed, confident, and almost reborn.
Orlando took it as an opportunity to, single it up. And now he's out there embracing bachelor vibes in pajamas with Bezos. That's what he did on the treadmill, too.
Katy, meanwhile, was stuck with what was remaining of her career, and the irony of it all really stunned. Orlando had trashed Katy's space flight, calling it cringe and embarrassing. Yet, here he was with the very people who put her on that rocket. It was like watching him distance himself, not just from Katy, but from everything she stood for. Sources close to Perry say that argument over the wedding was one of their final blowouts. She felt abandoned and exposed. And for Orlando, it was the last straw in a relationship that had become more about publicity than love. While Katy Perry was battling industry backlash, flopped sales, and a breaking public image, Orlando Bloom seemed to be living his best life. In 2024, he debuted his docuseries To the Edge, featuring himself skydiving, free climbing, and hanging from helicopters. For Orlando, this was a way to reclaim control in a life that had, for too long, been defined by red carpets, interviews, and trying to hold together a relationship that was slowly falling apart. Katy, meanwhile, was raising their 4-year-old daughter, Daisy, while managing a failing pop career and fighting off daily criticism online. Insiders described her as emotionally drained and barely keeping it together behind the scenes. The same energy she once poured into her music now went into hiding her daughter from the chaos, and the difference didn't go unnoticed. Orlando's stunts were applauded as brave, bold, and adventurous. But Katy's moves, whether it was a new single, an Instagram post, or an interview, were picked apart as desperate, attention-seeking, or tone-deaf. Fans began comparing the two, with some praising Orlando for staying grounded, while others accused him of abandoning Katy during her darkest hour. It became a messy debate of Team Katy or Team Orlando. According to those close to Katy, what stung most for her was that Orlando used to be her anchor. Now he was showing her everything she had lost. As he embraced simplicity and risk, she was buried under piles of branding backlash and broken expectations. Then rumors started swirling that Orlando had emotionally checked out long before the breakup, and that To the Edge was all about escaping the chaos Katy had come to represent. By the time the breakup became official, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom were a drama headline. Every photo and every move they made turned into internet backlash. Clips of Katy mid-flight on Blue Origin, quotes from interviews, and even her promotional stunts were ridiculed across social media platforms. It wasn't just criticism, it was pure bullying. Photos of Orlando Bloom strolling through Venice, grinning in post-breakup freedom, became instant tabloid material. And when he was spotted standing next to Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney, the rumor whispers went out of control. Fans speculated about a rebound, and media outlets ran with it. Meanwhile, Katy was still being destroyed over an album most people hadn't even listened to. Was Katy Perry a victim of the industry's double standards? Was Orlando Bloom abandoning her for the spotlight, or simply reclaiming his own path? Everyone had an opinion, and no one had all the facts. And that's what made it so addictive. For Katy, the constant analysis became unbearable. Friends say she stopped reading comments and distanced herself from social media. But the damage was done. She had become a living warning about fame and the danger of turning love and personal struggle into content. Her stunts weren't just backfiring, they were defining her new reputation, and Orlando never had to say much. His silence became his own statement. While Katy tried to explain, justify, or defend her choices, Orlando stayed quiet, heading straight into the next phase of his life. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom's breakup was a love story undone by fame, pressure, and the unrelenting need to stay relevant. Katy risked everything to prove she still had it, but in doing so, she lost the one person who had quietly stood by her side, and Orlando didn't just walk away. He soared into a new life, far from the chaos. Their collapse was messy, painful, and brutally public. But beneath the drama is the quiet truth. When you use your relationship to fuel your brand, you risk losing both. And in the end, the fame they built together became the very thing that tore them apart.